Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Surfside Recovery Podcast. My name is Brian Licata, and we just wanted to let you guys know that if you or anyone is struggling with addiction, to please reach out to Surfside. You can give us a call at 609-709-4205 or visit us at surfside.org and all of our social media platforms. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Surfside Recovery Podcast. We have a new setup today because for the first time in history of the Surfside Recovery Podcast, we have two guests. So I'm going to send it over to the other side of the room, and Ian's going to introduce our two new friends.
What's going on? I'm totally off basis that I'm not sitting in the chair over here as I'm always sitting in the chair. So this is super, super bizarre in the middle. We got Tim and Carlos from Saratoga Springs. Guys have a private practice up there. You want to introduce yourselves and talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the CEO of CommonSense Mental Health, and we are a private practice, like you mentioned, up in Saratoga. We're becoming what's called an independent practitioner association. So that's basically a fancy words for we're going to be the overhead for all of our providers, and our providers are in private practice themselves. And we have a number of goals related to that, but a lot of our providers specialize in substance use, among other areas.
Yeah, my name is Carlos. I'm the Chief Operations Officer as well as the practice manager. So I basically just handle all of the intakes, make sure the clients get set up with their insurance, make sure they get the proper counselor, make sure their paperwork is good, and then I handle all of the office stuff. So office parties, like redoing the office furniture and stuff. Yep. That's all me.
Cool. And Megan was supposed to be here, so shout out to Megan.
Yeah.
And she came down with the coronavirus,
or
something similar.
Yeah. Something very similar.
Unfortunately,
This is someone you work with got sick?
Yes.
Yeah.
So so it's actually interesting how me and Tim met. So I had met Megan through Facebook, actually, due to some sort of ethic. We were in some group that was about like ethics and addiction treatment.
Yeah.
I was in that group too.
I left all of that stuff.
Same.
Such drama. And we got talking about like data and things like that. So we met over here, and then one of our board members, Lloyd Fitzsimmons, was going to meet with you and Megan. And it was during Fish Tour last summer, and I was on Fish Tour as well. And Lloyd was like, hey, I'm going to meet, these counselors. Do you want to come along? I was like, oh, yeah, that would be great. And he told me who, and I knew Megan, so it was cool that I got to meet Megan up there. And then that's how we met.
Yep.
So that was interesting. So what are you guys seeing in Saratoga in terms of like addiction, usage? Are you seeing, rise in crystal meth? Are you seeing heroin potentially decline? Like what's kind of going on up 4 hours north of South Jersey?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll let Tim, he'll be more versed in that information.
I'm never sitting in the middle again, Brian, ever.
We can switch.
Brian usually is in the middle. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So, I'm from my end, I'm still seeing a lot of opiate use. But I have a lot of alcohol dependent clients. So we have a lot of clients navigating substance use issues related to alcohol, and also some crack cocaine. I've seen that come through as well a little bit. But alcohol has probably been the most, actually, believe it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Couple gambling.
Oh, gambling as well. Yeah, that's true, because we actually work with the Northeast Problem Gambling within New York State. So they're basically like a big referral network, and they support clients who are navigating gambling use disorders. And we work with some of their clients. So I have a couple of their clients as well.
Is there a lot of issues with gambling and the horse track and everything?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Is there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not talked about, but absolutely.
Sure.
Yes.
You can't talk about that.
No, it doesn't happen there.
Right.
I don't really see, I don't know too many people around here, nor is there really a big GA community around here. I mean, maybe I don't know. You would think with the casinos that there would be
everything with the casinos. I mean, down here, so like people will kill themselves at the casinos. They'll like jump off the
The parking deck.
The parking decks, and it's like not in the papers. It's like
Interesting.
clean up the blood, get them out, move on. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really heard anything about that
So
at all.
my wife used to work for, she worked for Harrah's and then Borgata.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And when she was working at one of them, I think it was at Harrah's, somebody jumped off the top, and that's when she realized like it's actually a thing, and they like clean it up so quick, get them in, you know what I mean, get the body, don't let anybody see it,
Right.
don't put it in the papers, like none of the papers will put it in.
Yeah, because that's probably bad business for the town.
Yeah,
Right.
You know,
For sure.
I mean,
Well,
Atlantic
and
City's
with the
struggling
horse
as a whole
gambling,
too.
It's probably the same thing. Like, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not talked about, but definitely the suicide rates are certainly high.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, it's not talked about. It's very, very low key.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to talk about? I mean, what's on your mind? What would you want people to know, potentially, in general? Like, what do you guys? What's a hot topic
Like for our practice?
in general? Yeah.
Well, we also specialize in just televideo. So we can offer clients all over New York State counseling and right from their home, basically. And they can connect with our therapist as well as our nurse practitioner, Jody, who can do medication management over video as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, unless if they have controlled substances in their medication, she does have to have one in-person session to assess them.
Sure.
And judging on how that goes, she can go ahead and refill them.
So how is that covered through insurance? Can you get reimbursement?
Yeah. Right now, actually, we kind of took the reins with the insurance companies, like allowing video to be a thing.
Okay.
With CDPHP specifically. Like when we first started,
CDPHP is
Capital District
Physicians.
something.
Something, but
Providers.
They're a local health insurance company.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And at first they were telling us that tele was covered, and we kept running into problems with it not being covered. So we kept pushing for it, and then finally just all the plans cover it now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a specific advantage to doing like teletherapy or telepsych versus in person? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So there's actually quite a bit of research already out, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of similarities actually. The big thing with in person is you really get a sense of someone's body language and the vibe that they're giving off. Essentially, like you just get
cues.
that sense in the cues, right? Video, you can get some of that, but it's much more limited. But the thing with online is that depending on the person and their context, they may be more open to talking about various things that they may not be in person, or they may be sort of quicker to open up because they're in their living room or because they're behind their computer.
Right, they're in a comfortable setting. It'd probably be good for people too who have like transportation issues or live in more rural areas where it's not offered. That's
As
what I
well
thought
as
about.
like phobias. We have a couple of clients with agoraphobia.
Yep.
And they can't go into a physical space for a session.
That's right.
So we have counselors that can see them through video. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. We also offer texting services as well. So like we do plans with clients where they can message the counselor as much as they want and then set it up so that either the counselor responds once a day, once a week, a couple times a week. And that's unfortunately not covered by insurance, but we work on a sliding scale. So based on income.
Interesting. So let's say I'm the client and I want to text you. So it would be like a predetermined response rate, basically. So like you would be responding like I would be prepared that you would respond like once a week or twice a week.
You would
So-
set that up.
So like, for example, so if we were doing like a once a week kind of a thing, we would agree on, okay, well, I'm going to respond to you before noon on Friday. And then you would expect my response sometime Friday morning before 12 o'clock.
Interesting.
So what you guys do is really you connect, you're like the connection between the providers and the insurance companies. Is that
Yep.
kind of what I understand? So I was like a little confused about that.
Yeah, so we connect them with the insurance company. So basically, we cover all of their overhead. So we cover their billing. We have a billing agent who's awesome, and she will not only file their claims for them, but she'll go after claims that are not being paid out, not being paid for. But then we also connect providers with clients. So we have our name out there, and some providers bring their own clients with them too. But we will we get clients to our main line, and then we pass them off to our providers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's there's a bunch in like Jersey and Pennsylvania, just like general practices, groups is typically what they're called.
Sure.
Like around here,
Yeah,
you know,
that's what we
provider
started out.
groups. Yeah.
Yeah, I never really heard of anything like that. I'm not saying
Yeah,
it's not.
there's one
I just
actually.
never had any experiences with it.
Yeah, there's one like right over by CJ's over here, actually.
Oh, the place on the corner across the street?
Gina and Asante and Patrick and some folks over there.
Interesting.
Tom. Yep.
So how was the tour you guys took today? You got to see the whole facility and everything like that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Dorset was a mess. Dorset was a mess. It's okay.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't live there or
It
work
actually
there.
wasn't bad. One or two bedrooms were rough. Yeah. They were rough. Yeah.
So there's
Yeah, we weren't used to seeing such an upbeat spot for guys
That's
in
right.
recovery.
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
That everyone just seemed very engaged, seemed very positive, and we felt like we were walking into it. Like it didn't feel like this was sort of the reaction to us being there. Things were happening, and we were just present. Which was nice.
Did anything surprise you guys about the facility other than that, or?
Well, and I was mentioning earlier too, I used to work in a different type of facility, but kind of similar, where it was all men's, and they lived there for like back when I was there, about 6 to 9 months. But so I was doing a lot of comparisons in my head to sort of how that program operated versus this program.
And that was in Albany?
That was in Albany. Yep.
By the egg? Right by
Not too far, probably like 5-7 minutes.
What is the egg?
Yeah, I'm curious. What is the egg?
It's like a.
Do you know you don't know the Albany egg?
No, I'll look it up.
It's like half of an egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really half of an egg.
It's like an opera
It's
center.
a theater. And they have, like,
Oh,
different
really?
theaters.
Yeah, it's a theater.
It's nice. It's really nice.
Yeah.
You can go in that thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go up in this like elevator and you're up in it.
Interesting.
We saw a show there recently in September, a drag show.
Yeah, and it's much like bigger on the inside. I don't know if you felt that way, Carlos. It was like
I actually felt like it was smaller.
really.
Yeah.
I was like, how does all this fit in here?
So
it was
funny.
Weird. It was weird.
So you go up and then it opens up?
And then opens up, but I think there's more than one theater in there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like different theaters, and it's like it's nice.
I thought it was just a big cement statue.
Oh no.
No.
Oh god.
I
That'd be cool, though.
Although that wouldn't be out of the ordinary there.
No.
But.
So how's Albany doing? Like last time I was in Albany, it seemed to be going downhill.
In terms
Like,
of
it just seems like more of like a dumpy, kind of depressed.
Yeah.
Like
I
it used
don't
to
know
be
what's up
maybe
with that.
working class and is just like slowly falling apart.
I mean, and I'm not an expert in terms of the area.
Like
and how it's
Saratoga
developed,
Springs
but
is nice.
It is.
Yeah.
My sense with Albany, if just from my personal observation, has been I think a lot of movement out to the suburbs. So I think the city has probably declined as a result of that. That seems pretty in line with a lot of upstate New York cities. Just you go to any city in upstate New York, that's pretty much what has happened.
Do you think there used to be a lot of like industrial stuff? And I think like Albany gives that impression.
I think down by the docks there was, and now everything's kind of like abandoned down there.
Right.
Like there's this hideous building that an artist just bought. Actually, he's going to completely redo it.
Interesting.
I heard about that.
He's going to do like
Yes.
all artwork on the building itself because
that'll
it's
be
an
good.
eyesore right
Yeah.
now. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of upstate New York kind of took a hit, I guess like in the 60s, but it used to be really popular for like vacations for people from New York City.
That's right.
Yeah.
Comedians, a lot of comedians got started. The Borscht Belt is what they called it.
The what? The Porsche belt?
Borscht.
Borscht?
Borscht, yeah.
What is borscht?
It's like a
Borscht?
yeah, it's like a Russian, I think it's like a Russian cold soup.
The borscht?
Borscht Belt, yeah. Yeah, but a lot of like big comedians up in the Catskills and stuff like that, but they took a hit like when Vegas opened up and then air travel got to be inexpensive because it was super expensive before
Yeah.
and people stayed local to go on vacations. But once the air travel fees went down, people started, traveling, like actually traveling.
Yeah.
Right.
So the whole,
Do you know that at SPAC, the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, is one of the places that Fish has played the most ever.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I do know that now, though.
Something
Ian
like
is taking
20
me to a
times.
Fish concert this summer on the beach.
Very
We're
nice.
gonna go.
Yeah, they're playing Atlantic City 3 nights, which is gonna be fun.
That's cool.
Bunch of our residents are already excited about that. Some of which are graduating this week. So,
Nice.
cool. So, what else? What else do we want?
So you mentioned Albany. My sense is that there's been, I think, a really good focus in terms of substance use treatment, at least within the capital region. I can't speak for other parts of New York.
What's the deal with New York's insurance and lack of treatment? Isn't there like something? What's the company called? Or who's the board that governs
Oasis.
Oasis? What's the deal? Let's talk about that.
We have some feelings on Oasis.
Yeah.
Everybody's got feelings on Oasis. I can't really
So
gear what it is or what the deal is.
From my experience, and again, I'm going back at least 3 years now, but when I was working within a facility that was overseen by that organization, they seem to prop up, and very well, I will say, they will fund certain programs very well, and they'll have really great programs in certain parts of the state. Then they have other programs that are suffering and that are underfunded. And my sense is there's a lot of reasons for it.
But Oasis is a state-funded body.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
Correct. They're the governing agency over substance use programs within New York.
So why couldn't Johnny's Addiction Treatment open up in the state of New York and get licensed to do like residential treatment? Like, why don't we see like Mountainside opened the IOP up there
Right.
in New York, but why couldn't they open a residential? Like, why don't facilities open up? Like, what's the deal?
Funding.
But privately funded places. I mean, that's really what I'm thinking.
Well, they could. I mean, and again, I haven't opened up a program myself, so I can't say for certain. But my sense is that even if you're privately funded, and even if you're coming in with those resources, there's a lot of how should I put it? There's a lot of management that can come with being a Oasis program. So there's a lot of
so if you're a treatment program in the state of New York, you are like licensed by Oasis?
You would need to be, correct.
Or certified, or whatever you would call
you'd
that
be licensed.
process.
You'd be
And you need to
licensed
have
as a
like
certain
I think certain counselors there and certain certain degrees. I don't know. I don't
Well,
remember
yeah.
what
So
they are.
so there's certain levels of care, and there's what's called the CASE Act, which is basically that's their So like if you have a CASE Act,
it's like a certified alcohol and drug counselor or something.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So then you can practice within those facilities. But yeah, no. Again, having been in a facility managed by it, there was just a lot of bureaucracy. There was a lot of they're there. They're very present, depending on the facility and depending on the politics between your facility and that organization. So I think that's probably, my guess is that's a reason why you don't see a lot more programs popping up
Interesting.
within the state.
Because it's like Pennsylvania. I mean, there's treatment centers like weeds.
Right.
You can't get rid of them. They're horrible and they're just everywhere.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is the way
Not
I look
all
at
of them, but
this is the way I look at it. What I'm seeing anyway is that the pro with New York State is that we don't have a ton of those, right? So we don't have programs that are sort of like going rogue for the most part. I mean, they're definitely there, but there's not as many versus going down to Florida or going to California. But the downside to it is that there's a very tight hold on the programs that do operate there, and they're not able to really operate in the best clinical interests of their clients some of the time
because they're stuck.
And because they're being micromanaged essentially.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I know of like places opening up in Connecticut, and Jersey's always Pennsylvania. I mean, you can't keep track with like how places are opening up. How fast they're opening up.
Right.
Absolutely.
But you never hear of like, oh, this new program's opening in New York.
Yeah,
Right.
and we've been seeing that as well. Yeah, and for us, a big part of what we end up doing, and like even coming down here, is finding programs. If they're in the state, that's great, but often out of the state that we can send our clients to.
Sure.
And we can refer to, because there's a few within the Oasis system that I would refer to as well, but there's not very many. Either I don't know of them,
And I'm sure you to some extent, right? You've got like some sort of New York insurance that you're locked into. like state restrictions
Right.
and things of that nature, so you have to.
There is, but you'd be surprised. Some insurance plans, it just depends on the plan and with which company. But there are some plans that will cover out of state, and I've had clients go down to Texas for treatment and be fully covered and just had to pay a copay.
Yeah.
And so it just depends on your insurance plan.
What it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, you ever go to treatment in New York?
No, I never had out-of-network benefits. The only place I ever went
One
to...
state you missed?
Pennsylvania. I did one in Northeast Philly once.
But you were primarily
Jersey. Yeah, primarily Jersey. I had good in-network benefits, so I stayed in the state most of the time. I've been to halfway houses and stuff out of state, but not treatment centers. No, missed New York.
I know there's a detox or two. There's a ton of like sober living stuff like in New York City and Manhattan.
That's right.
Tons of stuff in there, but in terms of upstate, yeah, I guess people got to go out of state for the most part, or the Oasis programs.
And again, you'll find that one program or two that's, they have the new building. It's very, again, very well staffed. They have good ratios. The program's very sound, and they've just been very supported by the state. And you go to a bunch of others, and it's like night and day.
Yeah. It's like the newer ones tend to get more attention. The other ones that's been around since like the 90s are the ones that are
Right.
Stuck in their ways, maybe. I wonder if it's some of that too, like just management.
Well,
is
yeah,
kinda
because
stuck.
some of the upper management there have been there since the 90s, and they have their ways, and they don't want to change.
Right. Interesting.
So.
Zach, who was on, was that last season? Zach Clark?
Yeah, I think it was before Christmas.
There's a couple. They're near Mountainside's new IOP.
Oh, okay.
He has a release recovery is somewhat similar to Surfside.
Okay. Nice.
But they're up in like Westchester.
Westchester County, I think.
Westchester area.
Yeah.
So
if people wanted to get a hold of you, if we have any viewers, I don't know if we have any viewers in upstate New York, how would they, find you guys or find your services?
I wouldn't be surprised because I know we've got Southern Vermont viewers, which is actually fairly close to.
Well, that's a whole other.
Hi, Gretchen. We know Gretchen's watching. But no, there's a bunch like in Southern Vermont, like East Dorset, Manchester.
We could talk about state lines for a minute. That's a topic in telehealth.
Yeah.
So right now, it depends on one's licensing board. It depends on if you're a social worker, licensed mental health counselor, all that jazz. But depending on your licensing board, a lot of counselors cannot operate outside of state lines because you're not licensed in that other state.
Sure. Right.
And a lot of it depends on where the client is located. So if we have a client that is in Vermont and they're physically in Vermont and they're doing a telesession with their therapist who's at home in Saratoga Springs, technically that therapist probably, depending on the licensing board, probably shouldn't be seeing them or can't see them.
Interesting.
So we can't technically see clients outside of state lines.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could have people get licensed in that state.
And that is part of what we're doing.
Like reciprocity.
Like right now, I have a therapist who is working on getting her her second license or kind of expanding her license into Massachusetts because they have a process for that.
Yeah.
There's a process in Florida, which is actually pretty easy because I think they just need the support down there, where a therapist can, for I think a small fee and some limited paperwork, can expand their license into Florida, and so we could do telehealth down there.
So I was initially licensed in Vermont.
Okay.
My license from Vermont to New Hampshire, the reciprocity was incredibly simple.
Nice.
From New Hampshire into New Jersey, I had to take a new test. I had to do different classes.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a nightmare.
Yeah.
All-
It's
all-
crazy
all
how
the state.
different all the regs are.
So, I mean, some of the
State to state.
core stuff was the same, right? And some of the stuff Jersey wanted me to do, I thought was silly. Some of it, like they wanted me to do some like gambling courses that I didn't have, which was okay. I mean, that made sense. Some of the other stuff, doing a new presentation, you got to do these like the oral exams and case studies and things like that in New Jersey. I just did a case study on myself. It was easy to remember.
Did you change your name?
Yeah. Remember my buddy Jesse who was on?
Yes.
So I used Jesse's name. This was like one of my best
When's
friends.
he coming back? When's he coming back down? Is he coming down for the shows in the
I think
summertime?
he's coming down this summer.
We'll have him back.
on.
Yeah, have him back on again.
Yeah, so I used Jesse's name and then I used my history So it's super easy for me to
Yeah.
remember.
That's hilarious.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Self-analyzation.
So how would people get a hold of you if they just want to like, if they are in the area, if they're interested in your services?
Yeah, so we try and make the process as simple as possible. So if you just go to our website, which is commonsensemh.com, and if you're looking to start with a therapist, just hit new clients, and that's how you start the process. We have a bio on all of the counselors, what they specialize in, what kind of services they offer, and then at the end of the bio is a little button that says it's like Susie's intake packet. You can click that and you get sent paperwork. Yep. Fill it out. I get it. And then I connect them with the counselor. I run their insurance. And we can usually get a client in about a week.
Cool. It's great.
Yeah.
At the most.
At the most.
Sometimes sooner. It depends on how long it takes for the insurance to get back.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Excellent.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming out, guys. We're just about out of time on the clock, so we'll wrap it up here. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Surfside Recovery Podcast. Not sure who we have coming on as guest soon, but it'll be somebody great for sure. Thanks for watching. As always, if you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out to Surfside. You can give us a call at 609-709-4205 or get us on the web at surfside.org.